Hey everybody, it's hwsteele, and today is July 14th, 2021, which makes this the second weekly video for the month of July 2021. In this video, I want to bring your attention to something, and I'll get to the specifics of that in just a little bit, but this something involves the stock market and the sun. Thus my picking this picture here. I took this a couple years ago of the sun. It was very close to sunset, and there was storm clouds starting to brew off in the distance. It was pretty hazy already because it was a windy day out at the lake looking over it at the sunset, and I figured this would make a good picture for this video. Because I want to talk to you about, before I get to the stock market part, I want to talk to you a little bit about the relationship of the sun and the earth. Now obviously, if you agree with contemporary science, the Earth revolves around the sun at approximately 93 million miles on average. Now, the truth is, the Earth goes around the sun in kind of an elliptical orbit, so there are points in time where it's closer and points in time where it's further away. In addition to this, the Earth is tilted at about 23.5 degrees, and this tilt, coupled with its orbital motion around the sun, is what creates our seasons. And this gives us this declination of the sun, and the Earth moving around the sun gives us the equinoxes in March and September, and then the solstices in June and December. And basically that's the point. The equinoxes are where the sun is at zero declination, and the solstices is the point where the sun is at maximum declination in June and minimum declination in December. But the points where the Earth is closest and furthest from the sun are actually off from the solstice points just a little bit. In reality, the Earth is furthest from the sun in the beginning of July, around July 4th, which is the birthday of the United States, and it's closest to the sun in the beginning of June, or not June, but January, at the very beginning of January. Now, if you apply basic logic to this, you might think to yourself, wait a minute, why isn't the Earth hotter when it's closer to the sun, since the Earth is closer to the sun in December? And the reality is the temperature that we experience in the temperate zones here on Earth, which are the zones between the tropics and the Arctic zone, that's basically based on the tilt of the Earth, because the difference between the Earth's furthest and closest distance to the sun isn't that great, relatively speaking. I mean, it's a couple million miles, but compared to its total distance from the sun, it's only a couple of percentage difference. So anyway, all that being said, I'm not going to go into any kind of specifics about that, but what I am going to say is the point in July, early July, when the Earth is furthest from the sun, which is right around July 4th, like I said, the birthday of the United States of America, we can use that as another point that is where we can, well, let me just bring up the chart here. I'll actually bring up the Dow Jones Industrial Average here. This is a daily chart of that. And we're going to look at July 4th as our baseline. That's our origin point, so to speak. Now, here in the United States, the July 4th is a holiday for the market, so it doesn't trade on there. So we're going to have to get the closest day that we can to July 4th. So here back in 2010, which is where I'm going to start with this example, our closest is July 6th right there. So we notice that in July 6th, right here, that there's a nice bottom right here back in 2010. And if we measure the number of days back to this top right here, we see that there are 49 bars, or 71 days. And then if we go forward from here just to this little top right here, we see, we missed it by 1 day right there. Let's be as precise as we can be. There we go. We see that it's 34 days, 24 bars. So Let's go ahead and start with this one, moving forward in time from the July 4th bottom, or really July 6th bottom right here, to this top that we get right there. We have a total of 34 bars, or I'm sorry, 34 days, 24 bars. So if we go into the future 1 year to July 4th, we have July 5th right there, and we measure forward, we find that there's a bottom at 35 days right there. So that's very, very close to what we experienced a year before. Now, if we measure from this July 6th right here all the way back up to this top, we remember that that's 71 days right there. And if we start from July 5th right here, do we actually get July 5th? Let's make sure, like I said, we want this to be as precise as we can be. July 5th right here. We go back in time, 71 days, 69, 70, 71 days. We're not exactly at the top right there, but we're within a week of it, which is kind of interesting, I think. Definitely gives an area to study. Now, if we move forward 1 year right here and find July 5th, and we measure from July 5th to this double top right here, we see that there's 20 days. So if we go forward in time 1 year to July 5th right here, let's see if we get any kind of result in 20 days. And 20 days later, sure enough, we get a bottom. Now, the amplitude of the move is nowhere near what it was right here, but there is definitely a change in trend that happens right there. Now, if we go from July 5th and then go backwards to this bigger top right here, we see that we have 64 days. So if we try that, do July 5th and go back 64 days, 66, 65, 64 days, we see that there's another top for a big move right back there. And this one is definitely closer in size to what we experienced back here. So if we move forward 1 more year, try this one more time, we'll see July 5th. We go backwards to this low right here. We see that that's 31 days. We can use that and start from July 5th right here and go backwards 31 days. We see this one isn't quite as nice, but there is a low a couple days afterwards. Again, the amplitude is different. If we go back to that big high right there, all the way back here, we have 65 days. If we start at July 5th, come on, there we go, and go back 65 days, we find that we're nowhere specifically in relation to a top. We're not at a big top like we were previously, but there is definitely an end of a sideways move and an acceleration to the upside right there. So I could continue and go on and on and on, but I'm not going to. I'm going to bring it all the way up to recent times, because I don't want to just do the same thing repetitively over and over again, because the concept of what I'm showing here is really, really easy to apply, obviously. So let's look at 2020, and then we have the 2nd of July and the 6th of July, so we can start other ones. Let's just start at the 6th of July and go back to this big bottom here. We have 105 days. Then if we start at the 6th of July here this year and go back 105 days, 104, a little bit more, come on. There we go. We see that we're very close to this bottom, not precisely exactly, but very close to this bottom here. And while the amplitude is nowhere near this big move down here, or what followed afterwards, we do get a bottom and then a sustained move up for quite a while before we go sideways and then make our final little top right up there. And we've been moving sideways for months now since then, essentially. So I'm not telling you anything specific other than anchoring from a date like July 4th in this particular case with the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and then going back or forward from that date and finding important changes in trend, and then moving that forward 1 year, you tend to get results. And sometimes maybe it's not just 1 year you want to move forward or backwards. Maybe you want to try 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. But for some of you out there, this will be something very interesting to research and study, because there's definitely some stuff to be found with the direction I'm pointing in this video. So anyway, hopefully it's been helpful for some of you, or at least intriguing at some level, and I will talk to you in next week's video.